Hello, and welcome to the Great Lakes Water Authority's One Water News Report. I'm Aftab Borka. In this edition, we'll take a look at GLWA's very first apprenticeship program, how a new group of hungry leaders is gaining insight from Doug Cartland's leadership series, and the benefits of partnering with our state's universities. But first, you may be familiar with hygiene products that are promoted as flushable. The packaging suggests that you can safely flush them down your toilet. Well, it turns out while they may be flushable as advertised, they are wreaking havoc on our sewer systems. So this is ideally all the stuff that you don't want to screen in the first place. You would rather want people not flush it.
These wipes are really, so many of them on their packaging, it says flushable. Well, I'll tell you what, they might be flushable, but they are not biodegradable, and they are wreaking havoc on all the sanitary sewer systems throughout the entire country, quite frankly.
This was a pump. We got a phone call from a homeowner, and the alarm had gone off that they were having a sanitary backup in their home. The alarm was going off, and when we got on site, what we found was the grinder pump itself, and as you can see, it's kind of dirty. It's in the back end of one of the trucks here that we have, and this is what was in the pump. These are flushable rags that people use. They're wipes, sanitary wipes. I don't know what to call other than they're just wipes. This is what we took out. 13 bags of wipes and grease. This is what the station looked like when we arrived.
This is from one station?
This is one station serving one residential home.
Wow.
We have pulled not only flushables or the wipables that we're seeing there, we've also pulled out IV bags, bed sheets. Near a convalescent home, we had one pump station. We pulled an entire bed sheet out of a pump station.
Oh, this is a significant problem around the country and really around the world. Our sewers are the lifeline of what keeps us having a system that we can use long term. And whenever we're adding something to it that shouldn't be there, we're going to have complications from it. We just had a case in Farmington the other day, a few weeks ago. 16 apartments were affected by a backup because it had a fairly small line had built up with grease to the point where it couldn't flow anymore. I think we ended up with 16 apartments that had been flooded by that.
What happens is they almost become a rope, and they are wrapping themselves around our pumps. They're choking our pumps. We've put grates in, screens in, and we have to clean the screens out, particularly after a heavy rain, all the time.
Basically, toilet paper, the moment it enters that system and it's flushing down your toilet, it starts breaking down. Basically, wipes will not break down. They just won't break down. And they end up, one will attach itself, you get a little grease on it, another one will attach itself, more grease, and you end up with this pile of rags and grease that will block any line. And if you don't do something about that, over time you're going to have more and more lines backing up and flooding people's homes.
Materials like flushable wipes can make it through those screens and add to the ragging issue within the wastewater treatment facility, water resource recovery facility, excuse me. So that can get into grinder pumps, into check valves. We looked at some of the different situations where it can block and impede the treatment process, and it's a manual, typically a lot of manual labor has to be exerted to clean out that equipment and get it back into service.
This is all ends up costing the system. So everybody who pays a rate is paying part of that rate into fixing these kind of problems. And if you're not affected directly by a backup and it's in your home, you're still paying for it every month when you pay your bill, because all these things add up over time.
Wastewater treatment plants and collection systems spend a lot of preventative maintenance and man hours removing materials that were never really designed to be in the sewer to begin with. And I think flushable wipes is just one of those items.
This is something that happens way more than it should, and it's really all about public education. If we can show the public the impact that this is having, they'll stop doing it, because most people have no idea that it's happening. What you want to flush in your toilet is just toilet paper and whatever you're producing as a person.
When you're going to the grocery store, no matter what you're buying, if you're buying those types of materials, just try to, I guess, at first reduce the amount of that material you're using in your home.
And now, it's time to get some updates from organization development. People don't leave organizations, they leave leaders, is a philosophy our CEO Sue McCormick strongly believes in. Doug Cartland's Hungry Leaders training is helping the authorities' leaders develop the skills they need to better support the work that their groups do every day.
Great Lakes Water Authority always invests in their team members, and so we thought it was very important to come up with a leadership series for our leadership team members to ensure that we hone in on their skill set and make them better leaders.
LaShawn Beffert contacted Doug Cartland, and she got information on a series, presented it to the water team. It was effective in their team as part of their team building, and it evolved from there. Another team member, Jatan Coleman, contacted LaShawn and got the information, and we worked collectively as a team. You have to believe in the product before you can share it with others. So from that, when Jatan contacted LaShawn, we got together and it was, hey, this is good information. We shared it with our chief, Terry Connerway. She said, go forth. So we believed in what we were seeing. We enjoyed it. Great information. It was, let's roll it out. Terry gave us the flexibility to be creative, and that is the one thing that we enjoyed as a team, collectively being creative, coming up with the scenarios, coming up with the exercises, coming up with the layout of the room, the locations. We have what we call our common behaviors, and as part of our common behaviors, the unity, the integrity, the trustworthy, the team building. So I wanted to ensure that all of that is collectively displayed and shared during our conversations, during Doug Cartland, our exercises during Doug Cartland, but more importantly, the communication. What are you experiencing in your area, and how can Doug Cartland benefit you, but how we can share with each other the ideas of how we resolve certain situations, circumstances in our individual areas.
Sometimes we put people in positions and we don't necessarily give them the necessary skills and resources to be successful. And so when we put them in that position, we want to make sure that we do give them the resources to be successful.
The scenarios are quite interesting. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's something different to actually bring in the role play and actually give the leadership something to think about. We come with different background experiences, and Terry develops off of that. So based upon our different experience and backgrounds, things that we actually experienced while in leadership, those experiences brought the compassion in the training. So we were able to share, okay, these are some scenarios, just to get some feedback. How would you handle it? But in addition, being truthfully honest in how to handle those situations because we experienced and dealt with them hands-on.
The first cohort, if you will, absolutely enjoyed it. They had a wonderful time, and they had some wonderful takeaways from Doug Cartland's series about leadership and about making sure that you are accountable and understanding that leadership is something that is important, and that we all have leadership skills within us.
We come in with our preemptive thoughts ahead of time. Well, what's it going to be today? Well, I'm going to pretend I have no issues in my area. I have no concerns. I'm the greatest leader. It makes you come into realization that there may be some areas where you may not be as efficient or effective as you thought. There may be some areas where you may need to develop. But in that development, we're developing all together as one.
Last but not least, I want to make sure that everyone knows here at Great Lakes Water Authority, we truly believe in our team members. And it's so important that we continue to invest in them because we really are one water and one team.
GLWA is committed to delivering water of unquestionable quality to its customer communities, now and in the future. Our partnership with Wayne State University is helping the authority to fulfill that promise at the pilot plant in Waterworks Park.
The pilot plant is something that we are excited about. It was a part of the original design for this water treatment facility, with the idea of research and innovation and connecting with our academic partners in order to have real experiences for the researchers. So what's important about the pilot facility, it enables us to have the actual source water, the actual treatment processes being analyzed specifically for whatever innovative thing that we want to look at. So if we were to take just the personal care products and the endocrine receptors, if we were looking for how to adjust our treatment in order to address those things, the pilot plant is the perfect place to do that.
It's really one of its kind. And about 10 or 15 years ago, myself and other faculty here at Wayne State got involved in taking students for tours out to the treatment plant. And as part of that, we visited the pilot plant. And we, for many years, were thinking, wow, this is quite a jewel. We would love to be more integrated with the work that's going on in the pilot plant. And through various discussions that took several years, working both with Wayne State University's Office of the Vice President for Research, as well as the GLWA management teams, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with GLWA now that provides us the opportunity to make use of the pilot plant for a variety of things that include teaching, research, and outreach to the community.
Right now we're standing inside the pilot plant facility at Waterworks Park. So what we do here is we can run experiments and try to optimize the system in the real plant by doing small-scale versions here in the pilot plant. The importance of having a pilot plant and operating the pilot plant is manyfold. One is simply optimizing your system. Maybe there's new chemicals out there that we can use that provide better, faster treatment. Maybe there's a way to modify the process in such a way where we create better, cleaner water.
I think it's been about 2 years that we've been engaged with Wayne State in particular, and they've had quite a variety of projects. As a matter of fact, they came in and did a small seminar workshop for the science geeks around here to really enjoy, because they let us know some of the things that they're looking at that can actually apply to what we do every day.
The first 2 years we've been focused on a couple things. Number one is some improvements to the pilot plant. Portions of the pilot plant hadn't been used for several years, and for the research purposes that we wanted to use it for, we needed to do a few upgrades and calibration of certain things in there, including the ozone generator, which is a big part of our research.
So this plant utilizes ozone as its primary disinfectant. The pilot plant also has the capacity to use ozone as a primary disinfectant, and that's very unique in pilot plants across the nation. Ozone is a great, we call it an oxidizer, so it cleans up all those bugs that you don't want to drink every day. So we have a couple of groups from Wayne State here. They're conducting research on contaminants of emerging concern.
These emerging contaminants go by several different buzzwords, but that's one of the areas that we're looking at very closely. Some of these emerging contaminants are known to be endocrine disruptors, and that's one of our focus areas, is looking at contaminants that may impact the endocrine system, either of aquatic organisms or humans. And we're just looking at the types of treatment that may be necessary in the future to remove those contaminants very efficiently.
So whatever information they can discover or have insight on, they can definitely share that in their publishing. And as they share that, they can give other people ideas and feed that information into the academic world that may be of use. That information sharing, that relationship building, that knowledge base that we're exchanging helps all of us. So it helps the research world. It also is a great opportunity for students because they They have an actual facility where they can have a lab as well as the actual pilot plant to run, and that gives them great opportunities for their thesis paper where they need to actually do research. So it's a wide variety of opportunities that we would like to solidify as we engage more and more with our research partners.
The partnership with Wayne State is very special. Gives students like me, when I was doing research there, an opportunity to see the workings here and learn more about the water treatment process, and eventually I was able to get hired in. Now there's a reciprocating benefit. The research that Wayne State is doing is going to benefit our processes in the future.
Let's take a look at some tech tips. A unique GLWA collaboration with Focus Hope and Henry Ford College has produced our first apprenticeship program. It's a 3-year program in which GLWA will train and hire electrical instrumentation control technicians. Director of Organization Development Stephanie Stevenson stopped by the studio earlier to talk about the EICTI apprenticeship program. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Stephanie Stevenson. So tell us first, what is EICTI?
EICTI is a position that is highly specialized, and we put together an apprenticeship program to grow our own, because many of the people in the role today are at the point when they are thinking about their retirement and moving on, and it's a very difficult position to recruit for externally.
So basically what we're trying to do through this apprenticeship program, correct me if I'm wrong, is to hire, not just hire, but train the best and the finest in the region, and then eventually hire them and make them part of GLWA.
A little bit. They actually are going through on-the-job training, and they are GLWA employees. So they are going through all of the steps that it takes to be an EICTI. They are responsible for making sure that the equipment is working correctly in all phases of the organization. They may have to repair equipment. They may have to assess a problem and order parts. And it takes time to learn that skill. So we identified candidates that showed an aptitude and an interest in the best skill, the skills that it takes to be good in this role, and we hired them. At the same time, they are working with experienced journey workers who are already EICTIs, and they are learning the skills over time. In addition, they're getting to go get formal education at Henry Ford College, and they are a training partner that will give them experience in math and science and some of the other elements that are important for them to be successful.
So they'll get the education while they're on the job.
Exactly.
Oh wow, well, that's wonderful. Now, so tell us, somebody who's not part of this, if he or she's listening to this, how they can become, what's the process? How can they be a part of this?
So now that we have the first group out, the Public Affairs Department at GLWA did a great job of getting out a press release and making sure that the community knows that we are offering an apprenticeship program. You can imagine in Detroit, it's really important to have opportunities for people to get skilled labor at an organization that really addresses needs of the community at large. So we work with Focus Hope, which is a community-based organization in Detroit, and they've done the recruiting for us. So if someone's interested, they should contact Focus Hope, who handled our pre-apprenticeship training. Focus Hope interviewed candidates, really looked for candidates that met our expectation around our common behaviors at work, our values of the organization, and who demonstrated that they would be reliable and committed to what it takes to be an EICTI.
So they come through Focus Hope, and then they join GLWA as apprentices, and then while being on the job, they get education from Henry Ford College. That's
Correct.
the triangle of partnership there.
Yeah, so they end up with great professionalism training and employability skills from Focus Hope. they end up with a paying job where they are learning skills and developing their career while they're getting paid and benefits at GLWA. And at the same time, they will obtain certification through Henry Ford. All combined, they will end up with a national certification as a result of being in the apprenticeship program.
Now, talking about those pairings or the training day style, you know,
Yes.
thing, like apprentice and the journey workers.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about that? How's that been going so far?
I hope it's not training day style.
Well,
but-
that's what I was going to say.
Good
Not
example.
exactly like it. But.
No, it was really, I would say, more like a Sherpa, I guess. The journey workers really take the apprentices under their wing, and they develop a great relationship. Most of the apprentices are millennials, and so we really have to make sure that the journey workers understand kind of the culture, and that the apprentices really want that bond. They want to have a relationship with the person who's teaching them. So I'm really pleased to see that that's happening. I can see that there is a good partnership, mentor-mentee relationship happening with the journey workers and the apprentices we have.
Oh, thank you very much for your time again, and thank you very much for enlightening us on this. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And now let's go out and talk to the real apprentices and their journey workers to see how the program's going.
I'm really thankful to be in this program. It's a great opportunity, and to be able to go to school and work at the same time. That's something that's hard to find. I want to go on and get my degree, of course, and I'm young and I feel like I can do that. It's a great first step in the right direction as to what I'm trying to do with my life.
It's a challenge in itself because, the beginning of the day and the end of the day, you have a job that you need to get done. But at the same time, you're still responsible for another individual that's trying to learn that job and that trade. So you gotta kind of balance your daily work schedule out, and sometimes it's not gonna be all about just work, trying to get one particular task done. Sometimes you need to take the time out of your working day to make sure that the apprentice is getting information that needs to be shared with them in regards to work and how things work in the water industry and what we're doing as instrumentation technicians.
I've been on what you would call autopilot for so long that I automatically just do things. Now I have to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, which actually helps me because I remember and oh yeah, that's right. And so that helps me to remember and be a better journeyman.
Honestly, he's like an uncle. Completely acts like all my uncles. It's like in one person. He explains things almost exactly like them. And he does it in the most technical manner he possibly can, to the point where sometimes he can confuse me and he has to draw back. And I usually don't get confused by most people, but since this knowledge that he's given onto me is so out of my league as to what I'm capable of learning on my own, I fall off and he has to come back and catch me, and then I catch on just a little bit.
Johnny, he alright, But no, really, Johnny he's really good at what he does, and I appreciate that he takes the time out of just focusing on his work to make sure I understand exactly what we're doing.
Of course, you got to be patient and work with people. So, I can't expect for a guy to come in and be able to pick up on things right away, because that's just not the way it works. And that's why, obviously, there's a program put together that's designed for that.
You've got to have, as they say, boots on the ground that are actually going in there, getting the job done, fixing it, figuring out the problem, motivated to come up with innovative ways to fix the problem. At the same time, you're working with your hands doing this. You and a team of guys are working with your hands getting this done. Because you're able to go to school and work in the field in what you're going to school in, that is almost immeasurable.
Before we wrap up, I want to share a personal story with you. My personal story. Growing up in Karachi, Pakistan, I used to drink water from a clay pot that my mother used to fill with boiled water every day. drinking tap water was not considered healthy. And the neighborhood that I grew up in would often get its water through rationing. Getting 24/7 running water was a privilege. And when families did not get their water for many, many days, they would riot. People were ready to bleed or even die for water. I'm proud to work for an organization that not only provides clean drinking water to millions of people, but also cares for the environment when it returns the same water back to the Great Lakes. That's my story. Tell us what makes you proud to work for GLWA. Send your stories to onewaternews@glwater.org. I'm Aftab Borka for the One Water News Report. See you next time.